Grab your big book, your pen, your highlighter, and notepad and get ready to hear and apply some of the solution from the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous through the experience, strength, and hope of Nikki M. To have a question addressed in a future episode of Noodle It Out with Nikki, please send an email to noodlewithnikki@gmail.com, and Nikki is spelled with 2 Ks. To get a more interactive experience with Nikki as she noodles out life and recovery questions using the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous, you can get a link to her weekly Noodle It Out with Nikki meeting held live on Zoom every Monday morning at 9 o'clock Eastern Time. The information to that meeting is in the show notes of this podcast. God morning, God afternoon, and God evening to all. My name is Justin B., and I am a son of an all-powerful and all-loving God and a qualifying addict of multiple fellowships, living in the miracle of recovery one day at a time, and I'm here with the intelligent agent, spearhead of God's ever-advancing creation, and my co-host, Nikki M. Nikki, say hi and introduce yourself real quick.
Hi, and Justin, you already introduced me. I am, according to my big book, page 49, an intelligent. See, God gave me brains so I can use those things, okay, for the betterment of everyone around me. I'm an intelligent agent. I represent this power of love. Intelligent agent, spearhead. I'm literally at the front. I'm a leader. I'm a trusted servant of God's ever advancing. See, this is advancing. For me to stay stagnant is to die. I got to stay green and grow. Intelligent agent, spearhead of God's ever advancing creation. See, who created the world? Think about that one, you guys. I mean, this is radical stuff. Please go and literally smell a rose and just lose yourself in it. That's who I am. Thanks, Justin.
Thank you, Nikki, and thanks for bringing that back to, hey, just go smell a rose. Love that. It's a great invitation to just connect with the creator of the universe. Excellent. All right. So just a little bit about Rico 12 and about Noodle It Out with Nikki. For those who may be new, we are a service, a recovery resource that provides different podcast resources for people out there suffering in all addictions, all afflictions. We are not, affiliated with any specific 12-step group. We are an independent resource, and we're grateful for the opportunity we have to serve and share the message, the hope that recovery, the 12 steps of recovery bring to our lives and to the lives of so many around us who have been affected and are being healed by applying these principles in their lives. If you out there feel nudged to help support the Rico 12 project, you can go to rico12.com/support and become a spearhead, whether it be a one-time donation or become a monthly donor. We're happy and grateful to accept those so that we can continue maintaining these platforms and continuing to grow into other areas to help as many people as possible. This project, called Noodle It Out with Nikki, is an exercise and a deep dive into finding solutions to questions, issues, and things we encounter in everyday life from the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous. Today, we're going to bring another question to Nikki and the Big Book to dive deep and see what we can find in the solution, and so that we can apply that solution into our lives. The question I have today for you, Nikki, is one that was brought to us through the Noodle chat, I believe is where it originated. And there is a WhatsApp group for Noodle It Out with Nikki. If you want to be in that, just send an email to rico12pod@gmail.com. We'll make sure we get you in that if you would like to join that. Anyways, this question says, what does the Big Book mean when it says, quote, we asked God to mold our ideals and help us live up to them? And that comes from page 69 of the Big Book. So, Nikki, what does the book say?
Well, the book says a lot, and I love this book. It is a magic book. It's the question on page 69. And of course, on this page and the following page, we're talking a lot about sex. But I go deeper than just sex, and I think the Big Book does too, because it says, if you look on page 68, it says, now about sex. How about this? Now about love. How about now about relationships? It goes deep here. And it says, many of us needed an overhauling there. And yes, I needed overhauling in my relationships, because the disease of alcoholism, I have a distorted perception, right? And that's sober, you guys. That's not, you don't have to be high, drunk, blotting out your consciousness. This is just a thought life it's not good. And it says, above all, we, and I don't like that word try, because we do or do not. There is no try, says our master Yoda. We are sensible on this question. So sensible, we got to be sensible, because I was never sensible in my relationships. I'm a true sex and love addict. So I assign magical, mystical qualities to people and then blame them for ruining my life when they don't live up to that stuff. Everybody is, and it's not just with your lovers. It's with my parents should have been like that. My boss should be like that. My daughter should be like that. Like, it's crazy, right? So it says we have to be sensible. It's so easy to get way off track. So it's so easy to get diverted. Remember, we get diverted by some of the ugliness of the trees instead of looking at the entire forest, says the book. I got to go there. I think it's in the hundreds. Anyway, we're here on page 68 where it says, here we find human opinions. See, we get to a new belief system. And I'm here 12 years, going to be 13 in the new year. And I'm not going anywhere because I'm finally getting rid of my old belief systems. And I know you are too, Justin, because we are around the same birthdays, over a decade, blah, blah, blah. Human opinions are part of my old belief system. See, what you think about me isn't my business anymore in my new belief system. So, and these human opinions are running to extremes. I need to live, and I heard this recently, everybody says like unconditional love is the highest form, but I heard being your authentic self. Like, really? Being your authentic self. Of course, that's all through the spiritual principles. We're not talking the monster. We're talking being your authentic highest self, right? Right, Justin? So if I want to be my authentic self, I can't worry about what Justin's going to think about me, especially because page 22 in this big book says our behavior patterns vary. Our behavior patterns vary, and everyone's in the rooms. Everyone's in their their spiritual places, looking at other people rather than truly getting to be their authentic self. So what does that mean? Because the question was, what does the book mean when it asks us to mold our ideals? Here it is, page 69. It's the third paragraph down. It says, we subjected each relation. Are you doing that? Are you subjecting each relation? They're not just talking about sex here. You got to go deeper and read between us, because yes, now about sex, but each relation, because maybe your sex life is great, but the relationship with your mother. I have a new sponsee. She's angry with her mother at 61 and wondering why her son doesn't speak to her. It's like, wait, what? You're not forgiving your mother. So how you understand like this ripple effect, right? This is so radical.
Yeah.
So is it selfish or not? And then here it is. Are you asking God? So let's go deep on this, because this was the question. What does it mean? Ask God. Are you asking this? Because God, as far as I'm concerned, is the spiritual principles, because they're asking us to practice these principles in all our. So are you asking humility? Are you asking, tolerance, love, forgiveness, patience, the fruit of the Spirit, being responsible, accountable, kindness? Are you asking these things to mold your ideals? See, I used to ask God to send me and I got one. He was 6'4", green-eyed, architect. He had to be a single dad like me, but he was a raging alcoholic. I asked for all these things. You go through this. He's got to have this. He's got to have that. You know what I asked for when in this relationship that I'm currently experiencing is I ask God to mold my ideals, which is I ask God for someone who is humble, polite. I ask God for somebody who loves God more than me. That's a radical thing to ask for. Because if you're in these programs, these sex and love programs, and they'll say, well, write an ideals list. Right here's your ideals list, or write a dating plan, write your, all these things. Aren't your ideals humility, faith, courage? Isn't that the kind of person you want? Don't you want the mirror reflection? Aren't you asking God for someone who's responsible? Or are you asking God for someone with money? Because if you ask for somebody who has these ideals, they will come with all those things. See, when I asked for somebody who loves God first and foremost. Number one, God sent me someone from a planet, a country that I have never even heard of, Luxembourg. It is a planet. I don't love it there. I don't love it. That's the truth. I do love Toronto, but then give me 2 months here with my mom in my house in the city and I'll need to go back there, Justin. I'm not well. So not only did this guy love God first and foremost, he came with all of those things. I mean, he's retired and 13 years younger than me. He came with all these things. He came with all the things. He eats well, all these things that I would have wanted, all these plans and designs. Remember, we take a sincere position to be less and less interested in our own little silly, stupid effing. No, it doesn't say those adjectives. Sorry, everybody, I drift out. It just says less and less interested in our own little plans and designs. So God knows our hearts. Remember, the creator of the universe. Remember, deep, page 55, deep down inside every man, woman, and child is the fundamental idea of God, but it's obscured, it's blocked by calamity, by all the crap in the world, by pomp, my pride, and by my worship of other things. See, if I get connected to my creator, I am now willing. Step 7 prayer. My creator knows every hair on my head. Don't you think they're going to send me the right people? Oh, but I didn't get the right people before. I didn't get the right parents. I don't have the right kids. I don't have the right life. How do you know? Because I'm sitting here at 51 going, again, God's plans and designs are better than I could have ever imagined. So what do you do when you ask God to mold your ideals and help you live up to them? You ask God to mold your ideals. What are your ideals? Isn't your ideals the spiritual principles? Aren't we living a spiritual program? Aren't we suffering from a spiritual illness that only a spiritual experience every day will conquer? Says page 44. Here, I love this instruction, Justin, and then after I finish this, I'll let you get in here and noodle some things out. We remember. See, I don't remember this always. Always. Nikki, remember. Justin, are you remembering always that your sex powers, that your love powers, that your relationship powers, that your trusted servant powers, this is power, is God given. See, when I remember this, I fall asleep and I forget because the program has told me you're no good. You have to do this. I mean, the programming that I don't even, when I say our grandbaby, it's your grandbaby, but he's mine too. When I think about this little baby coming in and all the programming we're putting on him already, it wasn't like this, Justin. I mean, you can just look. Justin and I were talking and he's 5 generations still alive. So if he looks at grandma and baby, everything, the programming is so much more different. And so we have to remember always that these powers, this love power, is God-given and therefore good. And it's neither to be used lightly. Don't use it lightly, everybody. Selfishly. And it's not to be despised or loathed. Like, I have power. How am I going to use this sex power? How am I going to use this love power? How am I going to use this responsibility power? How am I going to use this tolerant power, this humility power? I mean, this is radical, really. So thoughts on this?
Yeah, thank you so much, Nikki. And I've got some thoughts on this, especially. So you said, hey, being my authentic self. I think that's how you worded that. And my authentic self from before my third step decision was a disaster. And what I wanted my authentic self to be then didn't bring me peace, didn't bring me joy, didn't bring me serenity. It brought me chaos. Yeah, there was fun. There was excitement at times, but man, that roller coaster ride was rough and it was never peaceful. The authentic self that I strive to be at this moment after my third step decision is, while the road isn't always smooth and happy and joyous and free, there is meaning there. My true authentic self today is so much different than my true authentic self that I would have said I wanted, or thought I was before that third step decision. So that's something I want to just kind of talk about, is that if I am still pre-recovery, intelligent agent, spearhead of God's ever advancing creation, God is the director, I am the agent, my true authentic self is going to be a mess. But once I make that decision and I'm trying to live my life the way that the director is directing, my true authentic self becomes something so much bigger, better, greater, and less selfish than I was before. And that's a beautiful thing. And my sex ideals can then be molded by God and not by I want it. I want it how I want it, with who I want it, when I want it, no matter what is in my way. That is not a true authentic self. That's selfish, self-centered, and it can lead me into, well, pain for myself and pain for a lot of other people around me. So that's kind of my thoughts on that. Any additional thoughts on that, Nikki?
Yeah, that this is really radical. And page 30, many pursue it to the gates of insanity or death. That was really my thought, because it's like, as you're speaking, it's like, this is not easy. Third step decision. It says, it doesn't say it's every day. Everyone's like, I'm working on, it's a decision. Page 53, God is everything or God is nothing. And once you enter into the spirit world, that's your authentic self. Because we've been busy blotting out our consciousness, page 20, I think 5, with whatever we can get our hands on. So it's back to page 69 here, where it says in the bottom, like, as you were talking, I'm looking at it, it says like, I don't do this. I just didn't do this. Because, we're just back to the Noodle thing. I live part-time in Toronto, part-time in Luxembourg. And it was like in meditation. How about in freak out modes? Like I was in a freak out mode. How about in a blackout? No, I wasn't blacked out from alcohol. I was blacked out from anger and confusion in Luxembourg for a moment. And I didn't ask God. I called a fellow, which is I couldn't hear from God. And you know what? We got through it. But are you doing that? See, I didn't go to God first. I'm just seeing, like, because you can look and, I don't deserve to be here. I'm not. No, I'm just looking and I can do better. Next time I really need to take the time, because what happened is I was in a blackout and I'm like, I got to get out of here. I just got to get out of this place. So I lost my mind, told my boyfriend, he drove me and I got a hotel because I needed separation, because he's on me. He doesn't work. He's on me 24/7. That's also not normal. But he's like, I love you. And it's like, no, okay. Like I need space. And so I didn't just pause when I got into the quiet time by myself. I started calling people. I started, dropping lots of money to get a flight home the next morning without pausing. Like really weird stuff I did. Now, it says, I didn't ask God what I should do about each specific man. I didn't do that. I was like, what's going to happen in my life? I can't live in Luxembourg forever. Like, I didn't ask God about each specific, what are you going to do today in this specific matter? Now, as I look back over my shoulder, everything has been rad. Like God's plan is, again, I'm just going to read it one more time. I don't know if it's the last episode or even today we read it, but page 100. See, when I put myself in God's hands, they're better than anything I could have planned for myself. I just have to follow the dictates of this higher power, and I will live in a new and wonderful world, no matter what my present circumstances are. See, I love this next line too. The right answers will come if you want it, and I want it. And the right answers are coming. And Mr. Luxembourg sent me, all the normal things he sends me today, wishing me, good luck on your show, Nikki. It's like, it's a meeting, honey. It's not a show, but I might as well be. I'm a cartoon character. So are you wanting this enough? See, the right answers will come if you want it. If you want it, are you really wanting what, Nikki? What, the husband, the job promotion, to be recognized, accolades, property, prestige? No. Are you really wanting to, page 77, fit yourself to serve God and God's people? Are you really committing to your job on page 102, which is your job is to be helpful? See, God will do for you what you cannot do for yourself. I never thought, Justin, that this would be my life, literally. And like I just said, I go to a country that I've never even heard of. It's embarrassing, right? Like, because my programming I just live in America and Canada, and that's the only place that exists on the world, my programming from this school system in North America. Meanwhile, my boyfriend speaks 7 languages. I'm seeing things beyond my wildest dreams. But what happens is I get a daily reprieve contingent on my spiritual fitness. So if you take a day off, and that's what I did I forgot to smash the idea, page 30, that I'm like other people. I forgot to ask God what I should do in each specific matter. See, the right answers will come if I want it. I didn't want it. I wanted to be right. I wanted to do my plans and designs because Mr. Luxembourg wasn't doing what I wanted.
Nikki, I love this. And, a lot of people, and Nikki, I love you, but I don't put you on a pedestal. But a lot of people put you on a pedestal and they say, man, I want what Nikki has. She's got to have it all put together. Guys, we are just like everybody else. We forget to turn to God in every situation. Sometimes that happens and it creates a mess. So if your recovery is based on Nikki, if your recovery is based on Justin or on anybody else other than God, it's going to crumble because you're going to forget. I forget every day, and I've got to be reminded, whether it be through working with others, whether it be by trying to connect with my higher power and seeing what is the next right thing to do here. I'll forget, and then I'll turn into a whirlwind of all sorts of messes, and that's a tough thing. But when we ask God to mold our ideals and help us to live up to them, God will mold our ideals when I'm ready, when I'm willing, when I'm open-minded, and when I'm honest. And I think that's about all I have. Nikki, do you have any final thoughts before we close up?
Yeah, I'm like, exactly. It is a daily reprieve. And that's why, again, page 22, our behavior patterns vary. Don't look at me. My program's way different than yours. God's laser designed me. And my final thoughts, I'm just looking at page 70. It's like top paragraph. We avoid hysterical thinking or advice. Hysterical? I was blacked out. And it's like, yeah, don't look at Nikki. It cost me, I don't want to tell you what the plane ticket one way cost, because I had a plane ticket to go home that, of course, was all bought and paid for. All I needed to do was chill out. But I had to get, it's all worked out because God's awesome. And I don't leave this program. I stay in the middle. And this is what I forgot to do too, Justin. Page 70, everybody, where it says to sum up about sex. Let's go here. Everybody in your book or in your mental note, to sum up about relationships, to sum up about our ideals, to sum up about love, to sum up about anything. Nikki, when I was away in Luxembourg, I forgot to earnestly pray for the right ideals, because that's every day I got to do that. This is a radical program. That's why it says you're going to make mistakes, because you see how radical it is. So next time, there will be a next time. Everyone's like, did you break up? It's like, I don't know. He's calling. It's God. I don't know. It's all God. And I'm just trusting the process 6 years later. And so here it is. I didn't earnestly pray for guidance in each questionable situation. See, I forgot to do that. I didn't earnestly pray for sanity. I didn't earnestly pray for strength to do the right thing. And it was troublesome. My relationship in that moment was very troublesome. I needed to throw myself harder into helping others, but I was consumed with the disease of alcoholism, sober, self, me. What about me? So I need to think of people's needs and work for them. And that's what I do every Monday. We had the Noodle meeting. We have the recording now. I'm meeting my friend. We're going to go have lunch. Tonight I've got my in-person home group. Mondays is like total recovery day. And I'm going to what? Work for people. It's going to take me out of myself. It's going to quiet the imperious urge. What's that? The obsession of my mind. Remember? The obsession of my mind. Page 23. This centers in my mind. It didn't center in Mr. Luxembourg. It doesn't center in my parents. It doesn't center in my school system. It centers in my mind. And when I yield to these thought patterns, to these old belief systems, to these old ideals, and forget to ask God to mold me into new ideals, and as Justin so eloquently said, take a sincere position to abandon myself with a step 3 decision every day, all day, it means heartache. And what does heartache mean? It means more paperwork, more amends, more sending texts like Justin had to do. I love this life. The answers are in my magic book. Boop, boop, be-doo.
Love it, Nikki. Yeah, and these opportunities to, mold our ideals to what God would have them be and help us to live up to them. I invite each of us to spend some time today saying, God, what would you have me be today? Mold my ideals to what you would have me be today. And then give me the courage, the strength, and the willingness to step out and live up to them. Guys, everybody keep coming back one day at a time, every day for the rest of our lives until we're safely dead. Work it. You are worth it.